Okay, thank you everyone for joining on time. We'll go ahead and get started now. So welcome to the Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing Program Overview for Job Training Organizations. That's you all. My name is Stacy Hoyle. I'm the Workforce Development Manager with the SOMAH Program Administration Team. I also would like to introduce Daryl Lambert, who is the SOMAH Workforce Engagement Lead from Rising Sun Center for Opportunity, who's SOMAH's contracted partner for meeting workforce development.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's very nice to meet you. Look forward to working with each of you.
We also have David Lee Burley online, who will be helping us administer the webinar and will log any questions that come in during the presentation. All right, so for the agenda, today we'll go over the goals and structure of the SOMAH program. We'll then look at the job training opportunities in detail, the job training portal where job trainees can interact with contractors. We'll take a look at strategies to promote these opportunities to your students and participants and even recent graduates. And we'll look at what resources the SOMAH program administration team can provide you to help you connect your participants with SOMAH jobs. We'll then wrap up with a question and answer session at the end to answer any questions you submit along the way. So there's a few things I want to point out before we jump into the presentation. The webinar will last about 1 hour and there will be live poll questions scattered throughout the presentation. Attendees will get about 1 minute to vote. So to cast your vote, you'll just click directly on your answer on the screen. We'll be also setting aside time at the end for the Q&A portion. And I also want to note that the slides from today's webinar and the recording will be shared in an email after the webinar. To submit any questions, you can click on the question icon on your GoToWebinar player, and we will be logging those throughout the presentation, so we'll answer those at the end. We'll have plenty of time. Any questions we don't get to, we can certainly log those and answer those in the email in the follow-up. Okay, so now we will jump into the SOMAH program overview. So SOMAH, or Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing, is a California state program that aims to install 300 megawatts of photovoltaic solar energy over the next 10 years by providing financial incentives for multifamily affordable housing projects. The program aims to provide clean power and direct energy cost savings to the residents of these properties. Additionally, SOMAH will also provide paid solar job training opportunities for thousands of job trainees and tenants of SOMAH properties, which will equate to up to 575 job years over the course of the program. The program also promotes the hiring of local and disadvantaged workers by participating solar contractors. Next, we'll take a look into the background of the SOMAH program. The program was instituted through Assembly Bill 693, which was authored by California Assembly member Susan Eggman, and this bill passed in 2015. About a year and a half after the bill was signed, the Commission issued Decision 17-12-022 in 2017 to begin the implementation of AB 693, ultimately creating the SOMAH program. After a few years of regulatory feedback and program planning, SOMAH launched on July 1st of this year. The SOMAH Program Administration Team is made up of 4 nonprofit organizations: the Association for Energy Affordability, California Housing Partnership, Center for Sustainable Energy, and Grid Alternatives. Other stakeholders include the California Public Utilities Commission, Rising Sun Center for Opportunity, our partner for meeting workforce development goals, several community-based organizations focused on outreach to property owners, the SOMAH Advisory Council, which is made up of individuals from solar energy, environmental justice, workforce development, and low-income housing advocates. And finally, the program will be launching a job training organization task force in 2020. We will talk about that more a little later and how you can get involved and apply for this task force. Funding for the program is sourced through proceeds from the greenhouse gas auctions allocated to each of California's investor-owned utility companies. The funding is set at $100 million annually, and 90% of the program budget is allocated to the financial incentives to install these solar systems. Incentive amounts depend on the capacity of the system being installed, energy percentage split between tenant and common areas, and other funding sources like the federal tax credits. but an example incentive rate might be $3.20 per watt for the tenant area and $1.10 per watt for the property's common area. To give you an idea of where SOMA projects might take place, this map shows the eligible SOMA IOU territories. Pacificor in purple in Way, Northern California, PG&E in dark blue, Liberty Utilities in red near Tahoe area, Southern California Edison in turquoise, and San Diego Gas and Electric in yellow. Properties in municipal utility territories are not eligible for SOMA. In addition to being a customer of one of the 5 participating investor-owned utilities, eligible properties must have at least 5 units, have separately metered units, be an existing building or retrofit. New construction is not eligible for SOMA, unfortunately. The property must also meet one of the following criteria. Either 80% of the residents have incomes at or below 60% of the area median income, or the property is in a defined disadvantaged community that scores in the top 25% census tracts in the Cal-Enviro screen version 3. All right, since the program launched on July 1st, SOMA has received more than 260 applications representing 74 megawatts of solar. That's about 25% of our 300 megawatt goal, and $163 million in incentive funding just for year 1. So there was quite a bit of excitement and demand for this program, which is exciting for the job training opportunities. Funding is currently exhausted in 3 of these 5 IOU territories, SDG&E, PG&E, and SCE for the first year's funding cycle. But Liberty and Pacificor territories still have budget available, and wait lists are still open for PG&E and SCE. We highly encourage contractors and property owners to continue to submit applications, and you can find more information about the wait list on the SOMA website, including current budget information and project applications. I'll also note that no applications have received reservation approval quite yet. The applications are still being reviewed and are waiting on data from the IOUs. We'll talk a little bit later about what this means for the job training opportunities. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Daryl now, who will dive into the topic that's most relevant to you all, the job training opportunities.
Job training and workforce development are a significant component of the SOMA program. Participating contractors are required to hire and pay solar job trainees for each SOMA project. Trainees will get on-the-job experience on solar projects and can participate in an installation role, a project design and engineering role, or a commissioning and maintenance role. SOMA job training opportunities could benefit your participants and students in many ways. First of all, they are paid learning experiences. These opportunities also provide real-life, hands-on training to complement classroom or lab instruction and provide trainees experience working on multifamily, residential solar projects that they can add to their resumes or portfolios. According to the 2018 Solar Job Census produced by the Solar Foundation, 51% of solar employers attribute lack of experience or technical knowledge to their difficulty hiring qualified candidates. Finally, these experiences can be viewed as on-site job interviews. With new policies like SOMA and the new home solar requirement taking effect in 2020, solar companies will likely need more qualified staff to accommodate the demands. The number of job trainees and duration of their experience will depend on the size of the system being installed. The minimum duration is 40 hours of training, but larger system installations over 100 kW will require 80 hours of training and could be 2 participants. These are short-term, project-based training opportunities. However, a job trainee can participate in multiple SOMA projects and will remain eligible for 1 year from the start of their first SOMA job training experience. Depending on the type of position, here are some examples of skills that would be used or developed during these training experiences. If the trainee is participating in an installation role, they may expect to use the following: knowledge of job site safety, for example, proper ladder use or implementing fall protection on a roof, making array layouts and translating array plans, installing racking systems such as roof-mounted or ground-mount infrastructure, installing photovoltaic modules or electric equipment such as inverters, and utility interconnection. Many construction electrical skills are relevant to solar installation. If the trainee participates in a project design or engineering role, they may expect to get experience with project site assessment, configuring the mechanical and electrical design of the system, or supporting the contractor with project documentation, permits, and approvals. For commissioning and maintenance roles, the trainee may expect to perform mechanical and electrical tests of the photovoltaic system, verify operation and performance, orient the end user to the system, and perform preventative and corrective maintenance. SOMA job trainees must be paid at either the contractor's entry-level rate or 1.4 times the city minimum wage where the SOMA project takes place, whichever is higher. For areas that do not have a local minimum wage that is different from the California state minimum wage of $12 per hour, which will be $13 starting in January 2020, the minimum SOMA wage will be $16.80 per hour. Other municipalities may differ with the local minimum wage. For example, take San Francisco, where the minimum wage is currently $15.59 per hour. The minimum SOMA wage would then be $21.83 per hour. As of May 2018, the average wage, calculated by the mean, for a solar photovoltaic installer was $22.30 per hour. The SOMA program administration team will revisit the wage floor as wages increase over the course of the program. It's important to note that contractors must pay trainees from their own budget. Wages are not paid with SOMA funds, and contractors must pay the job trainee within 30 days of completing the work. Worksite safety is important to the SOMA PA. Contractors must develop a written worksite safety plan or injury and illness prevention plan and a code of safety practices covering the following: personal protective equipment, heat illness prevention, hand and power tools, fall protection and rescue, ladder safety, electrical safety, arc flash protection and lockout tagout, heavy equipment and rigging, excavation and trenching, transportation, and hazardous communication battery handling. Additionally, contractors are required to cover the trainee or temporary employee under their company's insurance plan. There are multiple ways that a SOMA contractor can recruit eligible job trainees. The contractor can choose to recruit trainees via the SOMA job training portal. Contractors can post open positions on the job board on the training portal, or they can search for trainees in the resume bank. We'll take a closer look at this later on in the webinar. Contractors can also search the directory of eligible job training organizations and contact them directly to recruit participants and students. So we know that some organizations may already have close partnerships with approved SOMA contractors. Additionally, contractors may work with property owners to recruit tenants of the property where the SOMA project is taking place. To verify that they have met all of the job training requirements, contractors will submit a job training affidavit along with their incentive claim package. This affidavit confirms that the contractor hired the appropriate number of trainees based on the size of the system that was installed, and they provided the required number of work hours for the trainee. The affidavit also confirms the wage paid to the trainee and the type of position and task performed. Next, we will cover who is eligible to participate in SOMA job training opportunities. To be eligible for SOMA job training opportunities, an individual must be either currently enrolled in an eligible job training program, recently graduated from an eligible job training program within 12 months of the start date of the SOMA installation, or a tenant whose primary residence is the SOMA property. Eligible job training programs include community colleges, local workforce development programs, nonprofits, private enterprises, and electrical workers unions that offer a minimum of 40 hours of instructional or hands-on photovoltaic installation and design training. Career technical education programs that focus on green building construction or design with 40 or more hours of instruction are also eligible. Another point to highlight is that a trainee remains eligible to participate in multiple SOMA projects for up to 1 year from the day that they begin their first SOMA job. Additionally, contractors may already have temporary or permanent staff that meet the definition of a SOMA job trainee, and they can go ahead and employ those staff to meet the requirements as well. One of the goals of the SOMA program is to stimulate local economic and workforce development, ensuring that community benefits are delivered to traditionally underserved communities. In addition to the eligibility criteria outlined in the previous slides, the SOMA program includes local and targeted hiring guidelines for participating contractors. For the purposes of SOMA projects, a local hire is an individual who resides within the county in which the SOMA project is taking place. Targeted hires may be individuals who are residents of disadvantaged communities, according to the Calendar Screen 3.0, residents of affordable housing, women, persons of color, and individuals who have faced or overcome barriers to employment. For instance, individuals that are re-entering society after leaving the criminal justice system. While local and targeted hiring are not required by the SOMAH program at this point, they are strongly encouraged. Contractors participating in the multiple bid process of SOMAH, where property owners select from 3 solar contractors through a competitive bidding process, may describe their local and targeted hiring plan as for host customers to consider. The SOMAH program administration team also offers several resources for contractors to achieve local and targeted hiring. Those include a network and directory of job training organizations which serve diverse populations, location-based tools such as the Resume Bank, and a partnership with Rising Sun. The SOMAH team will develop best practice resources for hiring disadvantaged workers. To ensure that the program is meeting these workforce development goals, certain demographic data will be collected from each SOMAH job trainee on the job trainee intake form, although individual data and personally identifiable information will not be shared publicly. And now to continue, I'll hand it over to Stacey for our next poll question.
All right, so next we'll take a look at the SOMAH Job Training Portal, which is the central hub where job seekers and approved SOMAH contractors interact and connect. The portal features a resume bank where job seekers can upload their resume and a cover letter and select what kind of positions they're interested in. And there's also a job board where job seekers can search and apply for open training positions. They can filter by position or keyword or area. And the portal also features a directory of SOMAH eligible job training organizations. The job trainee intake form is required for all SOMAH job trainees. The form can be completed online or filled out in a PDF format, either on paper or emailed to our workforce email. Completing this form will give trainees access to the job training portal. I'll share the direct link to this form after the webinar. So now we'll take a live tour of what these tools look like. I'll show you the job trainee intake form, then we'll explore the portal homepage, resume bank, job search page, and the organization directory. All right, so here we have the intake form. And this is going to be where the trainee will fill out their contact information, including name, local address where they live, and an email address is required so that they can have access to the portal. This is what creates their account. They'll also create a password. The form will ask if they're a resident of a SOMAH property so we can track who is a tenant. And then under training and education, there's a drop-down menu with all of our approved or eligible job training programs. If you don't see your program on here, don't worry, we can get you added to the directory. These are all pulling from the directory of those eligible programs. So the trainee will select which one, and then they will fill out if the program is under or over 40 hours, the program address, and then also they will fill out the graduation date. And this can either be a date in the past or a date in the near future when they plan to graduate. Additionally, the form will ask for some demographic information such as highest level of education, date of birth, gender, race, ethnicity. It'll also ask if there's been any criminal background history, and I just want to reiterate that the answers to these questions are not shared publicly nor with contractors. This is just so our program can get a sense of who we're serving and who these opportunities are going to. The next question asks if the individual receives any government benefits. And then finally, it'll ask for the most recent employer, their title, and their salary so that we make sure these SOMAH wages are meeting livable wages, and we can either match or make these wages industry standard. Once they submit the form, they will be automatically logged into the job portal. This is what the portal looks like. So here, this link, SOMAH Create Solar Jobs, learn more. This will actually take you to the main SOMAH webpage. If we go back, I will take us to the resume bank down here. You'll click on resume bank, and this is where the individual will want to select this checkbox here for opting in. This is what makes their resume publicly or viewable by contractors. They can select what kind of positions they're interested in. I believe if you hold down Control or Command, you can select multiple. There's some other additional information if they want to put in any certifications that they have, such as OSHA 10, NABCEP. They can put the dates that they received those certifications. There again, their solar training program. And down here at the bottom is where they can upload a PDF copy. Only PDFs are accepted. We do have a resource here at the bottom for how to convert a Word document to PDF. But they'll upload a PDF of their resume, and if they also have a general cover letter speaking to their interests and experience, they can upload that as well. Scrolling back up, if we click on the Jobs tab, we'll then take a look at the Job Search Board. So this is where trainees can search for open positions by typing in a keyword or title or an area, zip code, and a radius where they want to work. If they don't filter out, it'll just list all the jobs. And you see that no jobs are posted right now. And that's because all the project applications are still being processed. We'll touch on that in just a few slides, but to give you a heads up, project applications are being processed over the next few weeks, and we should begin to see jobs posted here on the portal in the next month, likely at the beginning of the new year. So the last feature on the portal is the organization directory. And this is what lists all of our eligible SOMAH training programs. So some of you may be listed on here. And if you don't see your organization on here, please email us after at workforce@calsomah.org. I'll have that on the last thank you slide. And we can make sure your program meets all the eligibility standards and get you uploaded on here. All right, so I'm going to return to our slideshow here. 1 second. Okay. All right. And so to give you a sense of when contractors may begin to recruit job trainees, I want to note that, yes, the program just launched on July 1st. All the applications are still being processed for year one. And like I mentioned, we should start to see these projects get approval in the next few weeks, with jobs being posted in the next month or so. Likely most will begin in 2020. And just to note that contractors have to start recruiting at least 30 days before installation begins. So we hope that that's enough time for you and your students and participants to plan and be able to be available for these jobs. All right, and so while there's no jobs posted on the portal just yet, your participants and students can get a head start by going ahead and filling out the job trainee intake form and uploading their resume into the resume bank so that contractors can view their resumes and their portfolios and go ahead and reach out to them. And then once contractors do begin posting jobs, the participants can search and apply for the jobs on the portal tool. It's pretty easy and straightforward to use. And as noted earlier, the other way contractors can recruit is they may actually reach out to your organization directly, to your staff or instructors, to talk about the projects they have coming up and to recruit your participants. So be sure to check out that organization directory and make sure all the information on there, the contact information, is correct and most relevant. All right. So the SOMAH team publishes a data set of all SOMAH applications weekly on Mondays onto California DG Stats. And I want to show you this data set because it includes all application data, including the application status, project location, the estimated size of the solar system. And from this size, solar system size, you can determine how many trainees will be needed, and contact information for the responsible contractor. So I'll include the link to this data set in the follow-up email, but we can take a look at the data set now. Okay, I think I want to pull it up. Sorry, everyone, technical difficulties. So here is the California distributed generation statistics. This is where all California low-income solar program data lives. And so you'll want to click on California programs here and scroll down to solar on multifamily affordable housing, SOMA. And there's a couple of different links, but the one I'll show you now is this download SOMA data. And so if we download SOMA data working set, there's also a data key to help you understand what each of the columns means, which is really helpful. So I will go ahead and show you that now. I've actually already downloaded it. All right, so there is quite a bit of data here, but what I'll point out is the SOMA application number is this first column. You also have the utility that it's in, the application status, and so you will see that many of these applications are waitlisted. The ones to really pay attention to are those that say pending IOU data. They're getting pretty close in the process for approval, and as well as these that say reservation request review. And yeah, those are the ones to sort of pay attention to. You can also take note of the project city, the zip code, and the county. And then other columns I will point out are there's a lot of information on here. The solar contractor, so you can see who's involved in each project, and they do have some, where those contractors are located. You're welcome to look them up and go ahead and contact those contractors if you want to start creating relationships and seeing what their recruitment needs are for trainees. So again, I'll include the link to that data set. It is updated weekly. I'll include that in the email after. All right, we will go back to our slideshow now. All right, everyone, thanks for submitting questions. Looks like we had some good ones here. I'll go ahead and start with the first question, which is actually about something on the intake form. So let me find that for you all again. Okay. So there was a question about the gender question on the intake form, the different options. We have male, female, self-identify, and decline to answer. So self-identify is an option for someone who does not identify as male or female. So they, prefer not to select a gender, and so we want to be able to capture that information and have everyone feel comfortable with the answers they're providing that they've identified with. All right, so then we will hop back into presentation and answer a few more questions. I can pull it back up. All right. So the next question is, where does training compensation come from in SOMA? So trainees are paid directly by the contractor's budget and not from SOMA program funds. So it'll be out of the contractor staffing budget. And the next question is, our students are in class Monday through Friday. Will there be any installations or projects during the weekend? So that's going to be up to, the schedule will be dependent on the individual contractor. And once a trainee is hired by the contractor, they can set up an appropriate work schedule that works for both parties. But in many cases, it might be that the trainee waits until after they complete their program, so they have a little more flexibility. But it definitely would be up to the contractor, and it's certainly not out of the question to create a flexible schedule for their training. The next question is, will job placement data be publicly available? Can we get information if one of our students is placed on a SOMA job opportunity or hired after? So I understand that many of your organizations need to track job placement data for funding and grant purposes. Unfortunately, the program will not notify you if individual job trainees from your program are placed on a SOMA job. It would be up to the trainee to self-report this information. or you can work with a contractor who hired your student to request the needed information, such as salary and job dates and placement. I'll hand it over to Daryl to answer the next few.
Right. So is there a minimum age for job trainees? Can high school students participate? So there aren't any age requirements outlined by the SOMAH program, but contractors have to follow local, state, and federal labor laws. And also they may have some specific requirements based on their insurance coverage and some other limitations. So that's something to keep in mind that we take up with each contractor, given each case. Moving on to the next question. Will this training be recorded? Yes, it will, and a link to this recording will be emailed to you after the webinar. It's also going to be posted on the calsoma.org website in the next week or so keep an eye out for that. It looks like we have one more here. How can I connect with participating contractors to get information about job training opportunities? So in that follow-up email, we're actually going to send the link to the California DG Stash, which Stacy referenced earlier. And you can download that and take a look at the column where the contractors are listed. And you can see that the name of the contractors there. Feel free to reach out to them directly. Additionally, the SOMAH PA is going to be able to facilitate connections between those contractors and any of your organizations based on those needs. So you can always reach out to workforce@somah.org and we can go from there.
All right, looks like we have just a couple more. Feel free to keep submitting questions if you have them. You can always email them after. But the next one is, can instructors from job training organizations visit SOMAH job sites? So that would certainly be up to the contractor who's working on that project. And I do encourage you to go ahead and reach out to participating contractors with projects in your area so you can build those relationships. And yeah, that could certainly be a possibility depending on the contractor's needs. And then the last question we have is, how can job training organizations provide feedback or suggestions on the SOMAH job opportunities? So any feedback or suggestions you have anytime can always be emailed to our SOMAH workforce email, which is workforce@calsomah.org. We'll throw that up on the screen in just a moment. And then other opportunities to provide public comment include we have a quarterly public forum, which can be attended either in person or online. In-person meetings, they'll rotate throughout the state of California, but they can always be attended online like this. And we also have, like I mentioned, we're forming a job training organization task force, which would be representatives like yourselves from our JTOs, job training organizations. And this will be a great opportunity to provide regular feedback on the program and really help shape the job training opportunity. So I encourage you all to apply. Again, those applications will be released in early December through the CalSOMAH email listserv, and we'll mention that in our follow-up email so you have all the details. That wraps up our Q&A portion. So I just want to thank you all for attending and learning more about SOMAH job opportunities. You can expect an email from workforce@calsomah.org later this week with all the resources and links we referenced and everything you need to get started and promote these opportunities to your students. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to our workforce email here on the screen. And that is a wrap. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.